What's up, everybody? It's Saucy Phipps here, bringing you a review video for Bastion. Now, Bastion is a notoriously good game amongst people of the internet, and I'm just here to elaborate on why I think it's a great game. Before we go forward, if you have any questions, or you want to get a context from where I'm getting my ideas, or just want to see some gameplay, my playthrough of Bastion is out on YouTube. You can go ahead and look it up and just check it out. Now, Bastion is a game that does pretty much everything right. It's got a very rewarding and mysterious story that you unlock all the pieces of, going all the way through to the end, and it makes sense once you get there. And there's a few decisions that help you alter the story, and it feels impactful. And I don't want to spoil the story, so I don't want to spend too much time here, but it's a great story, and they do a great job telling it. And most of the storytelling is done through the infamous narrator, who has just got a great voice, he does the character of the narrator so well because it goes cohesively with the game itself. When you're in an environment of a level, or you're in the overworld, every kind of sound or storytelling device makes sense within the context of each level or the overworld. Now, moving forward onto gameplay, this is also true. The unlocks you find, the unlockables you find in each level, the enemies you find in each level are contextually accurate to the setting, and all the characters are cohesive, everything makes sense. But the real key point for this game was, to me, the combat. The combat, you start off with certain weapons, and you go through, and the cohesiveness between your movements and your positioning and your attacks are just so well balanced. It's very important to me that an action game have a very good balance in its combat between its movement and its attacks. But Bastion added on top of that your positioning, because each weapon you unlock has a different playstyle around it that lends itself to different movements and different ways to position yourself to set up attacks and to set up different fights. And each kind of weapon lends itself to a different play style because of those reasons. Now, I felt each weapon was usable for the entirety of the game once you've unlocked it, including the starting stuff, the shield and the hammer. And the blunderbuss is the starting ranged weapon, I believe. But everything you unlock is usable till the end through the upgrade system. The upgrade system felt very well fleshed out, and it made everything viable. Even, you get your starter hammer, it's supposed to be good again. In most games, you get your starter hammer and you just want to go find a better piece of gear and a better piece of loot to be able to take on more difficult enemies. This one is more based around, you have your hammer, upgrade it, because we don't want the playstyle to change very much. We'll add different things onto it, so there's an addition to how you play with each weapon. But it doesn't change more or less your movements and your positioning. It kind of more or less changes the attack side of combat. And it made each weapon felt cohesive with the game, and each weapon usable, and they lent themselves to different play styles. And I definitely found my niche weapons that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the sword, the hammer, and the pistols, and those went well to how I played the game. And it was a very cool way to keep me interested in the game mechanics. Now, this game had a perfect cross double curve, and if you've seen any other review videos, I might have mentioned it before, where you have a very quick sloping into a plateaued off learning curve, and then a very shallow, quick rising mastery curve. So you learn the mechanics in the first section of the game, and they're well paced out through the context of the game. And then once you've learned those mechanics, once you've learned how the mechanics works, the mastery of those mechanics kind of pretty much comes after. And you can begin to master those mechanics through the rest of the game into the final section, where you use all of your knowledge and all of your mastery to beat the game. And Bastion does this perfectly with all of its unlockables, all of its choices with weapons and abilities you can take, all of the upgrades that you can do. You learn all of those, how all of those work pretty early. You go ahead and unlock them a lot of them in the middle section, and then you can master them between the middle and the final section, or between those two, within those two sections, you can master them. And it leads to a game that just captures your interest, and I would definitely go ahead and recommend this game for anyone looking for a good action game, because the combat is great, the story is great, and it just keeps you interested. It's as simple as that, but that's the explanation behind it a little bit. So if you have questions, or you're maybe looking for some explanation, go ahead and leave a comment. But if you're a self-help person and you want to do it and you can figure it out on your own, go ahead and check out my playthrough of it to figure out a little bit more about it. Thank you for checking in. I will go ahead and see you guys in the next one.